fight fans, fight fans. This is Kurt Taville with Counterpunch Boxing News. Happy Memorial Day to everyone that served in the armed forces, wherever you may be in the world. Happy Memorial Day to you guys. Something we do in the States to represent our soldiers, past, present, and future. Okay, past and present, to be fair. I think they don't get enough credit. I think soldiers are mentally more disturbed than they give credit for. So this is to you guys. I salute you. Thank you for your service. Moses Automa, live stream, nightly chat. Wanted to come on. I wasn't. This is like a surprise one. So whoever's on is going to be on. Whoever's not on, hopefully we'll hear about it later on. When you guys come in, hit that like button, share if you like. But listen up, okay? My man Moses Automa, he's got a lot of praise, a lot of criticism. I've been watching channels that, do a little bit of both. They, ridicule him. They are, some of them are praising him. Some of them are hyping him up the next best thing. But what I haven't seen yet from Moses, and I'm still waiting for it, is like, what's the word we could say about Automa fanboys? What could we use? What would be the right word? We had flomos, packtards, lomosexuals, aerosexuals. What would be Moses's word? Okay, what would be his worship word? Right? I'm open to suggestions because he keeps knocking people out. Little Mike Tyson, the fro wearing destroyer. I don't know, man. I'm just coming up with some stuff. The Moses sexuals, the Atomaroids, the Automa boys. I don't know. I don't know what you guys would think, but I think that would be something that is coming, and I want people to really expect that. Expect that the Mosexuals. The Mosexuals. I don't think that's a cool one. What's his nickname? Moses don't have a nickname, does he? He's just Moses Automa. What do they call Moses Automa? I mean, does he even have a nickname? Because we can use the nickname, like Pac-Man, Pac-Tards, or what I mean. The UK bomber, or I don't know. Hold on a second. Let me get my chat up. Okay. Stovich, heel and amputee on live, or you are a liar and your God is weak. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. That was the craziest shit I ever seen. Don't put anything like that again. Jupiter, Merry Christmas. Let's see. The Southpaw Assassin. Blink twice if you're held hostage. Leandro. I don't know what the hell that means. Okay. But anyway, you guys think of names. What names would you call Moses Automa? Because it's coming. It's coming. You're gonna have the worshipers, the fanboys. Then you're gonna have on the negative end. You're gonna have the overall haters of the game or whatever, But when is Parker fighting next? Parker doesn't know when he's fighting next. So to answer your question, Parker don't know. And I think that being said, Automa squashed that little pumpkin. Yeah, I mean, but it's something that he's supposed to do, and I think he knows what's up with that. But then, I think with Moses, I think as long as he doesn't get comfortable, he'll still be dangerous. You know. But I mean, other than that, we have Caleb Plant. He's fighting this weekend. I may go live for that. I'm just really never a big fan of paying like $79 for that shit. I think that's stupid. I don't think it'll be that much, and if it is that much, more than likely I won't go live. So I don't know. So we'll see. Armando Resendez. Okay. Then Jamal Charlo versus Thomas Lamana. Now, both of these are super middleweight fights, right? Caleb Plant versus Armando and Jamal Charlo versus Thomas Lamana. Both super middleweight. Wasn't Caleb the one that slapped the shit out of Jamal Charlo not too like a couple years ago? Charlie Z beat Deontay in the fetal position. Oh God. Now you would think everybody that's on would have something to say, like, and none of my, no, nobody's here. That's crazy. You know what's killing PBC? Like they will give you something that you think that's one thing, but it's actually something else. Caleb Plant versus Jamal Charlo. That fight should have happened 2 years ago. That fight should have been made before a Jermell versus a Canelo fight. So I mean that's what's killing it. But boxing is not the same all over the world. It gets hot in some places, and then it dies in another place. It's like the cities, like the cities that I grew up in. Like you can't have too much going on at one time because if something pops up over here, something else has to die down because there's not enough coverage, there's not enough business, there's not enough whatever you need to strive or thrive, right? Who you reckon Moses will fight next? Well, according to Moses St. Don, he has to fight somebody that's going to give him a challenge before he can fight someone that people feel that will give him a challenge. So it won't be Martin McCauley. It won't be Zili Zhang. It won't be those guys. It will be somebody probably that he will feel comfortable enough fighting that will take him 7 or 8 rounds because he needs rounds. I'm hoping at least in a Adelaide. Maybe Adelaide. Maybe not. I think the problem is he's doing too good. Moses is doing too good. Boxing in America is dying, unfortunately. Anis, I think what it is, I don't think it's dying. I think it's been half dead for so long. People just think it's all the way dead. When you talk about American boxing, what people don't understand about American boxing, Americans, we're so greedy over here to the point where we thrive off the idea of, well, our pay-per-view numbers, they charge that stupid amount for pay-per-view. And because they do that. They think it's better selling what they've sold, but all they're doing is causing more Americans to get smart like we normally do. We circumvent shit over here. You know what I mean? Because it's basically with us, hey, it's like, it's not about what's right and wrong. It's about, hey, who are the laws made by? You know what I mean? And mostly the laws are made by the people that break the laws. So knowing that philosophy, a lot of times people do shit like still alive streams. And me, I was totally against it because I want to respect every fighter and support every fighter. But the fighters are not even being supported no more. They're being bullshitted. They're being ripped off. They're not getting paid the money that they deserve. Not over here, they're not. That's why Turkey al-Sheikh is doing what he's doing. But that's why what was revealed like by guys like the Charlo brothers and Adrian Broner, these guys were getting salaries, like daily salaries or weekly salaries, because what they were promised, which was a guarantee, they're not getting, because the pay-per-views are not meeting the network standards to pay them. So what has to happen? Those pay-per-views that are not getting met, the network takes a loss, so the money has to come from somewhere. And good old Uncle Al is doing what he can, but he can't do it all at one time. He can't pay these fighters all up front what they're worth or what they were guaranteed. So the pay-per-view model is meant for the consumer, which is us, to pay for the pay-per-view. We're here to make sure they get paid. But if that number is not made, they're not going to get paid. Bars. Unfortunately. Okay. Machiavelli PL, yo, Kurt, salute from Poland. How do you see Wardley Honey fight? Wardley Honey fight, I think, will be a very interesting fight. And don't expect that fight to go how you think it's going to go. Because Honey is an undefeated fighter, and he's going to come there with something to prove. It's not going to be a Martin Bacali over here, because fortunately for him, he's going to be in much better shape than someone like Martin Bacali. That's why Martin Bacali's on the redemption list, because, his overall shape. This motherfucker don't know how to go to the gym, and he doesn't know how to stop eating, See, everybody got their vices. You're either a drunk, a drug addict, an overeating fat piece of shit, a liar, a whore, or something. In Martin's case, he can't stop eating. He's a jolly guy that likes to dance and eat. Bill Keaveney, David Adelaide. Bishop Desmond. Moses Automa is good. He can beat Martin Bacali. Well, he can beat Martin Bacali. I never said he couldn't. The question is, why would he fight Martin Bacali now? That's not going to help him. That's not going to help him at all. Funny how Bacali went from king of sparring to a joke. Well, it's just funny how he went from the king of sparring to Andy Ruiz. Exactly. Martin, Andy Ruiz, Bacali. I keep telling you that's a thing, bro. You know what I mean? I don't know. I didn't make did I make a hashtag already? I think I did that night. Yeah, Mark Bacali really showed me, bro, like, yo, you run out of gas and let me counter on his ass for a minute and give him a couple right hands and left hooks. Mark Bacali showed us that he's not an adaptable fighter. He's not an adaptable fighter. He showed us that he only wants to fight certain fighters with certain styles. It was so much like Andy Ruiz, it was ridiculous, but on a smaller scale. Understand this about Andy Ruiz, people. Andy Ruiz did the unthinkable. Andy Ruiz became the first Mexican-American heavyweight unified champion ever. You know what I mean? He just didn't get the fight. This guy came in and he cracked it wide open. He beat the shit out of Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua was upset in a way that it made you sick to your stomach. It really made you kind of like, oh, because nobody knew where boxing was going after that. You had a guy that's a millionaire, that's endorsed by so many different companies. And then he goes to the US, to a new market. Mostly it's supposed to be the biggest market, because remember something. Do you guys understand AJ getting beat in New York help affect American boxing? Think about it. If AJ would have won in America, Do you understand that those fights, he would have probably fought at Dallas Stadium. They would have probably took him to Vegas, California. You see what I mean? It was either New York or Vegas or LA. He was going to be in one of these places. And it's like this. Joshua is not a billionaire, I don't think. No, he's not a billionaire. But what I'm saying is, because he got beat and because Eddie Hearn got so spooked because he got beat, this man went all the way to Saudi Arabia. You think Saudi Arabia would be where Saudi Arabia is with fights if it wasn't for Anthony Joshua coming over there and experimenting with Andy Ruiz for all that money because the site fee was there? If he would have beat Andy Ruiz, there wouldn't have been a second fight. There probably would have been a Deontay Wilder fight, maybe, but Wilder didn't accept the money. We don't know if he would have accepted the money. He probably would have kept bullshitting, and he would have probably kept looking and listening to his team, which part of his team quit because, remember, Ludabella left after he attempted to get him, well, he did get him in the same room as John Skipper, which at the time in America was ahead of DAZN and was running DAZN in America till he caught COVID, and I don't know where he's at right now. However, AJ helped destroy American boxing. And you're like, how? Well, he got beat and he never came back. So you guys know the British, they come to support their fighter. Period. All of them have done it. Lennox Lewis, Ricky Hatton, Princess Ahmed, AJ, they all come. Amir Khan even. They all come in droves to support their fighters. They show their support. They know, like, listen, we're going to support our lad. This is our guy. He's a Brit. Let's go over there to the United States. Let's have a British fucking invasion. That's what they do, and that's what they always do. But AJ brought all the people over, got embarrassed by Andy Ruiz, and then guess what? He left and never came back. That took possible other fights that could have happened here away from here. You guys don't see that, do you? That's crazy. AJ Usyk 2 was in Saudi too. Yes, it was in Saudi too. But the thing is, America spooked the shit out of AJ and company is Eddie. Eddie and Anthony were like, we're not going back there. They might have looked at it as janky. But I never understood why they didn't. I never understood why they never came back, because it's like, listen, you know, what you did was you made Lennox Lewis right. Remember Lennox Lewis? I think he needs to come over. I think he needs to come over out of the safety of the British and fight over here, man. He needs to open another market. I don't know what they're talking about. He needs to come abroad. That's what happened. America not having an elite fighter isn't on AJ though. No, but AJ supposed to did what Lennox Lewis did. Bill, he's supposed to did what Lennox Lewis did. He was a lot fucking bigger. I'm talking about a notoriety. There was no, look, Lennox Lewis was good, but Lennox Lewis wasn't like AJ. Nobody rallied behind Lennox Lewis like that. He had supporters, he had respect, he had the talent, but he didn't have that support like AJ did. He had support, sure, like I said, the British are going to support, but he did not have the backing like AJ. And AJ in 2019, the undefeated, unified heavyweight champion, was bigger than Lennox Lewis with all the fighters that he fought. Probably Mike Tyson fight, but even Mike Tyson was older then. Now, you know what I mean? So it wasn't what you thought it was. If AJ would have came over here, whooped Andy's ass, and then he probably would have fought Dillian White, more than likely, because that's a fight that Eddie could have easily made. You know what I mean? Joshua is like Michael Jordan of the UK. He is loved here. You see what I mean? You guys are saying that. But he got beat and got spooked. And I always wondered that about AJ. I'm like, okay, AJ, you're making this money. More power to you. That's great. You're making more money. You're coming back to the UK and this, that, and the other. But then when are you going to come back to the States? You even train here, for Christ's sake. He's trained over here for months. And then he ain't fought here yet. Again. Yet. All right? If Deontay Wilder chose to fight AJ now, that fight won't matter. He'll keep it. He just wanted to get paid, maybe more than he was worth, but sometimes you just got to concede to make it happen. Fury got 20%. Michael Hunter, I think he's good. America needs some heavyweights badly. Well, he can't get a fight because his promoter is, unfortunately, Michael Hunter's promoter is a fossil. He's a legend, but he's a fossil when it comes to getting things done. He's an old man. He's a super senior citizen. Don King is the guy that bro, he doesn't have pull like he used to, and it's quite sad. You know what I mean? I mean, his like Don King, if this shit was 25 years ago, this would be different. If this was 2000, right? This would be different. This is not 2000. This is not 2000. You know, and hopefully he can do that. But see, one thing that Mike cannot do. He cannot drop the ball anymore on these negotiations. And he cannot fucking lose. If Michael Hunter loses a decision, it's over with. It's over for him. And I like him. He's a cool dude. But if he loses a fight, that means his reputation won't be there. He might get another fight because nobody will fear him no more. Nobody will be worried about him. If he goes in there and looks like garbage and loses a decision, people won't fear him. Period. Wilder is about 40. He is done. Wilder's been done. But see, Wilder got on the ass end of an opportunity that made him some money before the people that was closest to him stuck it to him. If that makes sense. See, he got paid. Okay? He got paid. See, Wilder got paid for the Parker fight. Wilder got paid for the Zhang fight. So at least he was there in the mix. We can't say that shit about Michael Hunter. We can't say that shit about Dillian White. We can't say that shit about those fighters over there. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't one of those picked in the lineup kind of guys. I have no idea because I don't know what the stipulations were. I mean, look at Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller was even in the mix. If you guys can remember, Jarrell Miller has fought twice. He fought Andy Ruiz and he fought Danny Dubois. So we got a loss, we got a draw. And to be fair, he's this. Well, no, Martin McCauley has a win, a loss, and a draw, right? But no, I mean, even Jarrell Miller has showed us how difficult it is to get out of a promoter's grasp. So they got some weird stuff going on with those contracts, man. And it's always imperative. That's why you always need a lawyer with you when you're dealing with a promoter, because you don't never know when a promoter has something in the fine print that keeps you with them. That Saudi money is sweet package. Yeah, it is. It's sweet, and more importantly, it's guaranteed. It's not any, hey, if you make 325,000 pay-per-views, you know what I'm saying, you can make this amount of money or you can make an upside. See, the pay-per-views are good on a percentage if it does really well. Nobody gives a fuck about pay-per-views like they do, like they used to. Because people are smarter now. We have technology. Let me take you guys back a minute. Okay, you guys look like seem like you're old enough crowd to remember ringtones. When was the last time you paid for a ringtone? Let's just be real. When was the last time you paid for a ringtone? Ringtones. You're like, damn, ringtones. Yes, ringtones. Boom, boom, boom. Gotta get that. Right? Ringtones. Do you know ringtones used to be $2.99, $1.99, $3.99, and you used to have to pay for those shits? You guys remember that? Ringtones you used to have to purchase. Kurt, what are your thoughts on the Povetkin scandal that's recently come to light? I mean, like recently? You mean a few months ago? That's a long time ago. Yeah, dude, that's like, yeah, you just 2008. You're just 2000 and late. Bro, that's crazy. That shit was damn near 20 years ago. But the point I'm trying to make is we used to buy those shits. You used to go online, buy it, and get it, and, apply it to whoever. Remember ring back tones? So ringtones, ring back tones, right? Really, even music. People paid for shit because there was a market for it. And if it wasn't too expensive or just, off the chain, and you could pay for it. And you did. And a lot of people did. I think pay per views the same way. I think what the zone kind of bit themselves in the foot because they were before their time. They gave you that forefront of what's going to happen. A lot of people don't really, buy music no more unless you have an iPhone, and iPhones kind of regulate more of that versus, a Droid. A Droid is kind of everywhere. Extra for 69. I come to America from Peru to support Puff. Bishop Desmond, anyone can beat Deontay Wilder now. That's bullshit. I don't think that. I think at the same time, if anybody can beat him, and probably everybody can get knocked out by him besides Zilly Zhang and Joseph Parker, because those are the guys that didn't get knocked out by him. Everyone else did, except for Tyson Fury. So Tyson Fury, Joseph Parker, and Zilly Zhang. Needless to say, both of those guys are still pretty high on the totem pole. The zone is going to kill the pay-per-view model. Ha ha ha. Cheers, Eddie. Well, they backtracked, and that was wrong, and that was very, very contradictive of the zone. Yeah. Deontay Wilder needs to sack Malik Scott. We keep hearing that, but I think he needs to sack the high idea that he can't, that he should just throw caution to the wind and throw shots like that. He needs to pay attention to his defense. Because I don't know what Malik Scott's teaching him. And everybody's blaming Malik Scott, but it's easy to blame a trainer where you could just be. Nobody told Wilder to drop his fucking hand and get countered by Zhang. Nobody told him that. You know what I mean? Now you can argue the Joseph Parker fight because the Joseph Parker fight went 12 rounds. You know what I mean? So you do have to ask yourself, what instruction did Malik Scott give Wilder for fucking 11 rounds? In between rounds, how many positive or helpful instructions did he give him? What did he tell him to do? Was he telling them the same stuff over and over again? Or, you know what I mean? You don't know. You can watch the fight and see what you can hear him say. But it's up to Wilder to make the fight happen. Because he wasn't in there with somebody that was running from him. Parker got close enough. He stayed far enough away and then came close enough to attack Wilder when Wilder was no longer a threat. You can beat Wilder on the inside. Wilder doesn't have an inside game. He's too tall. He's too lanky. He's too uncoordinated. So you can whoop Wilder on the inside. That's why guys like Mike Tyson would destroy someone like Wilder unless Wilder caught him from where he was, away. That's the real about Wilder. Wilder doesn't have an inside game. The shit he does on the inside, it's comical. If you've seen Wilder, Wilder's the guy's head here, he's trying to fight like, I'm like, bro, stop that. Just save your energy. Stop trying to hit somebody that's in your chest. You know what I mean? You got an 80-inch reach. What the fuck do you think that's going to do to that guy? Well, for the last few rounds at least. But no, I don't think that at all. I don't think that Malik Scott should be sacked unless we know that Malik Scott is giving him information that he doesn't need to know. So I'm not going to do that to him. Now I will say what he did was, hey, he went over to congratulate Zilly Zhang before checking on Wilder. That was some bullshit. That looked suspect. That looked like, you're like, dude, whose side are you on? I didn't like that. And I did a video about it when he got knocked out. Do you think it would be smart for a boxing promo to focus on finding American heavyweights? I think if it was if someone was that passionate about it, I think, yeah, why not? But also, what does an American heavyweight have to offer the heavyweight division besides just being the nation that they're from? You got to ask yourself that question. You know, why do people want American heavyweights? Why can't it be Polish or Russian or Mexican or Canadian or British, which we have, Saudi Arabian, Chinese, which we have, Japanese sumo wrestlers, right? Why does it have to be an American? What does America have to offer the heavyweight division? Why do we want an American heavyweight champion so much? Why? Why do we want that? That's the question. Why do you want that? Can you please tell me my name? So, that's the question you ask yourself. Automa and Nathan Gorman would be okay. Nathan Gorman's okay. I think now Gorman, at the stage he's at, would just. I don't think that would. No, I think that would be something if they couldn't find anything else. Nathan Gorman's done. He's been done a long time. I hope for Americans' sake that Jared Anderson was going to be the real deal. I miss the American heavies dominating the 70s to the 90s. Mike Adams, you said it best. You know, you know, you said it best. The reason why we want American heavyweights is based on the reason why we've had them before. What did they have? They had excitement. They had a backing. They had charisma, which made them exciting. They had a personality, which made them exciting. You know, yeah, we're used to it, but it has to be based on what we've already had. Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Evander Holyfield, even Riddick Bowe. I mean, but when you think about fighting like heavyweights, you don't think of Riddick Bowe. It's not the first name you think of. You think of Mike Tyson. You might think of Holyfield. Definitely Muhammad Ali. Guys like that. Kalnaki fell off a cliff. Low blow. Galata was good. Tomax Adamic. Arthur Spilk. Yeah, all Polish fighters. I feel I probably feel the worst for Kalnaki. Because Kalnaki was on his way to something special. And this man ain't won a fight in the last 4 years. This man has took a L for the last 4 years, going on 5, smoking Joe Frage, exactly. So, are you a fighter too or just a fraud? Never said I was a fighter. I can fight straight bullets. You know, are you a real gunslinger or are you just shooting blanks? You cunt. Kalnaki was doing well, but the Viking took his soul and cracked his chin. That's correct. I mean, I was watching AJ versus Hellenius last night, and I noticed that Hellenius was holding back on AJ, but AJ was timid as well because he knew he didn't want to run into that stuff. But I'll say this. AJ looked like shit against Hellenius. He looked worse than he did in the Jermaine Franklin fight. Kurta Jedi stopped carrying on Stray. Stray bullets went off in his pants. Ruiz was too fat to. The Brits have all the best heavyweights. They do for now. Things will change. I just think if we did have heavyweights from America, we could have much of a matchup. The rivalry would be there. We needed the AJ versus Deontay. We needed them to fight 2 or 3 times. That would have really put boxing where it needed to be. You know what I mean? Because you got a guy that could punch like a hand cannon. Then you got another guy that supposedly had it all with the boxing and everything and the star power, the good guy, the this, the that, but it didn't. You know? Ruiz ate all the Snickers before the rematch. He ate more than Snickers. Jared Anderson shouldn't have been pushed so fast. Well, he got that money, you know, and I think for what it's worth, if he got about 5 mil, that 5 mil, I think he still has a lot of that money. So he probably came home with about 2.2. You know, and you know, with $2 million that you didn't have. You know what I'm saying? $2 million that you didn't have is still a come up. You know what I mean? Especially when you're not used to millions. You know what I mean? And someone gives you 2 of them. You know, that's a big deal. Miller has surprised me without steroids. Yeah, I mean, damn, that's an interesting comment there. Marcy D, counterpunch to you. Don't you think Wilder is most overrated heavyweight in history? I think he has one of the worst. I think he has one of the most carried resumes in history, but that was based on the people that were over him. So, Wilder's power was everything. All he ever had was bound to get exposed sooner or later. Guy cannot box. Where is the promo for Wilder fighting on this 27th? King. I don't know. Pressure Hamilton, that's a very good question. Where the hell is it? Where in the hell is it? You know what? I may actually go to that fight if I'm not working. Because it's right. It's like in Kansas. It's in Wichita, Kansas. Like, who the fuck is in Wichita, Kansas? Why in Wichita, Kansas? Why not Atlanta, Georgia, where he's closer to? He's from Alabama, so why not have it in Atlanta? Why are we having it in Wichita, Kansas? You know what I mean? Shit, Kansas City, Missouri's bigger than that. Chicago. Barclays. New York. Brooklyn. I don't get that, bro. I don't understand it. I don't understand the venue. And it's on a Friday, so that is what's on the 28th? Who fights on the 28th of June? Somebody fights on the 28th of June. I can't remember right now. But I mean, they got that slot. Sweet home Alabama. Sweet home Alabama. Yeah, man. Did Wilder start camp? Malik Scott was in the UK not too long ago. So it's May. I don't know. We do know he opened his own gym that looks like a club. And you're always gonna have people though that will be butthurt over Wilder. And people, as you guys know from the last few years, I hadn't had much to say about Wilder in a negative. But that just goes to show you that you're always going to have someone that's going to look or try to find something negative in what you say about somebody. I said that gym looked like a club. People said I was hating. Yeah, look at the comments of that video. They said that I was hating on Wilder. Malik Scott got an English girlfriend, hasn't he? Malik Scott has he has a British wife. Kate Abdu. I think that Automa could fight Takam. That'll be a good affordable test for him to make a couple rounds. Christian, that's a good idea because Carlos Takam is a guy that is durable. I think he's a very durable fighter, and he reminds me of the Keith Mullins of the heavyweight division. Kind of looks like Keith Mullins, too. We'll never forget Wilder's, followers getting smoked. He wants it off the radar, I guess. Hey, Kurt. Chet Perry, counterpunch to you. Takam is tough, and that might be worth it, but when he bangs him out, everyone will say talk to Takam is old. He can't win. I think they'll say that if he knocks him out. Maybe Moses has to start carrying these guys, but I don't know if that's a smart thing to do anyway, or either. What about the Toma versus someone like Vianello or Weiland? I don't have a problem with it. Moses versus Jermaine Franklin is also a good fight. I think that fight should be made. If they want to test the boy, I'll bring him up against Franklin because Franklin had a good run in the UK. You know what I mean? And he's like he's like 1-2. I didn't cook anything, man. I got some beef ribs from a place and they weren't that good. Franklin is a good idea. He is tough as nails and has a great chin. Yeah. And then he's short as well. He's not tall. And then we get to see what Automa can do with someone a little shorter than him. You know what I mean? Let's drop the elevation a bit, just below eye level and see what he can do. You know? Yeah, I would like to see that, man. Jermaine Franklin versus Moses Automa would be a good fight. And matter of fact, bring Moses' ass over here. You know what I mean? I think they want to build him up first and then bring him over. But I think what we need to do, we definitely need to look at bringing people to the U.S. to make people in the U.S. like boxing again. Again, we talked about the AJ situation. AJ was liked everywhere. People seen that Klitschko fight. That shit was aired on Showtime over here. Showtime picked it up because if you guys don't know, Al Heyman and Eddie Hearn were in they were together. They had a joint situation where they shared each other's networks. Like if Al Heyman fights, when he had an Al Heyman show, they would be showed on Sky. Well, when Eddie had a show in the UK, they would be on Showtime. So him and Al Heyman worked together at one point. If you guys didn't know that, they weren't just these enemies. No, they worked together. But what happened, Eddie, when the Zone came around, Eddie was like, you know what? We're going with the Zone. We're going on the app. We're going digital media. That's it. You know what I mean? So they cut the idea and they cut negotiation ties. Moses versus Caballero I think that's too soon for him. It's ballsy. I think that's too soon for him, though. Because what happens if Moses can't land? He's going to get beat up to the body, and someone like Caballero is a lot better. It's levels to this for a reason. That's pushing him too much. You might as well throw him in there with Bakali, but at least fighting Caballero, he would be gaining something. He would be the number one. Matter of fact, he would be the WBC interim heavyweight champion. So somebody would have to fight Moses Automa if Moses Automa can beat Aget Caballero. So that would be worth that. I could see that over Martin Bakali. And everybody's talking about Martin Bakali because Martin Bakali just got his ass whooped twice. That's why. So everybody's, that's why they want Dave Allen to fight Deontay Wilder because Deontay got his ass whooped twice. So when people start getting beat, the perception of what we've already saw. See, a lot of people are very faithless. They're very faithless. It's easier for something that you can see versus something you can't. Faith is the evidence of something that's there that you can't see. You know what I'm saying? So if it ain't being shown yet, you're not going to believe that it happened. But once it happens, people are going to open the floodgates. I.e. Wilder, i.e. Bakali. Bakali, yeah, he got his ass whooped a couple times. Efe Ajagba beat the shit out of him, outboxed him. Yeah, he ran out of gas. And Joseph Parker knocked him out with his fat ass. Bars. Deontay Wilder, same shit. It's just actually the opposite. He got beat up 12 rounds by Joseph Parker. Then he got knocked out, against Zhilei Zhang. So same thing. He's got the Crawford thing. It's generational DNA. Kurt Moses Automa versus Jermaine Franklin would be a good test for him. Yeah. Adelaide would get smoked by Moses, and that would give him the British title too, I think. Yeah, but he wants to do more than that. He wants to go farther than that, quicker than that. And the people that are behind Moses are pushing him as well. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is about Moses Automa. All right. So Jax Mans, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. And he says Kurt. See, I would have, I don't know what you asked me. Moses needs to go British, then European, then give him a big fight. I have no objections for Moses. I like Moses. I respect Moses for what Moses is. Moses is a young, up and coming fighter that's looking to come and go farther. I think the rate where he's going or the expectations for people is a bit much. I don't expect Moses to become heavyweight champion this year. Yeah, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a good idea. I think what we should see is what we have. This is what happened, so this is what we got. This is what we received. We received a knockout, another one, the 12th win out of the 11th knockouts. Okay, out of 12 fights, 11 knockouts from Moses Automa, and I think that's what we should expect. Okay? Not, hey, when is he going to become champion? Hey, when is he going to fight someone dangerous? Hey, when is he going to fight somebody at this particular level? Well, we're asking these questions, but at the same time, you're putting pressure on a 20-year-old kid that is knocking people out. He's doing everything that you're asking him to do. He just became the WBO #1. So, hey, how about this, guys? How about the people that expect Moses Automa to become a champion overnight or at the end of the year or wherever the fuck? Why don't you guys go through the standard channels, okay? Why don't you go through the formation? Ask the WBO. Ask them. Ask the WBO, when are you going to get him that shot? Because what happens is, who is the WBO? Interim. Joseph Parker. So there you go. Frank runs the WBO. Okay, well, if Frank runs the WBO, that's why he's there. Kurt, what about Moses versus Arslanbek Markmadov? Ooh, that's a pretty good fight. I don't think Arslanbek should need another loss because Arslanbek got beat by Villanello. He got first upset by, well, not even an upset now. He got defeated the first time by Caballo. And now, you're looking at him, he's just, I feel bad for Arslanbek because I think Arslanbek is going to become another Adam Kalnaki. Even though Adam Kalnaki did things that I think he went farther than Arslanbek. Arslanbek was just the guy that was getting a reputation for just bruising and running over guys. With his brute style and his savagery and his awkwardness, he was just running over people. Look what he did to Rafael Akchapuri. You know what I'm saying? Look what he did to that guy. He ran right over him, How big of a step could he take, Kurt? Well, I don't think he should take any drastic step, but you can tell if he's the WBO #1, they're going to expect him to fight Parker. And what's going to normally happen, this is what happens, this is what Frank, I feel, wants. Frank wants Daniel Dubois to beat Alexander Usyk. If Alexander Usyk does not retire, he's going to ask for the rematch. Then they will have a third fight. But then what about Parker being the WBO? The WBO is the first in line. What they could do is, hey, how about this? Because that's what they did to Alexander Usyk back in the day when Usyk was waiting for his opportunity to fight AJ. Okay, before he fought AJ. They were like, how about this? How about you fight the #1, Joseph, which is Moses Automa, and then you guys can fight. Meanwhile, we'll reschedule the trilogy fight for all the belts against Usyk and Daniel Dubois for the third time. They could do that, and they did that. They did that with Alexander Usyk and Joe Joyce. Remember, they wanted to offer Joe Joyce 7% of a fucking fight purse? Like, who does that? Not even 20? No, 7%. Now, for you Tyson Fury fans, you could have threw that back. I think somebody did that. Somebody did say, well, they wanted to offer Joe Joyce 7% because Joe Joyce was that guy that, for one, he wasn't really known and he wasn't really respected like he should have been. You know what I mean? Dave Allen will fight Moses for a huge bag only. Dave Allen, I think, will fight anybody. A world champion from my country in the UK would be pretty cool. I actually saw Moses a few months ago in town. Big lad, cool as a cucumber. Yeah, he's cool. He's cool. He's one of those guys that you could see him easily becoming like a long shark, a Shylock. you know? Mike Adams, Dave ain't stupid. I feel like Moses and Wardley are the UK fighters the US would enjoy watching. Maybe. I don't see nothing wrong with them fighting either. Even though, shit, a few months ago, you know, Wardley was saying, like, I'm above him. I'm a couple years above him. But at what point are they not on the same level? Like, look, for example, Frank Sanchez and Jared Anderson. Frank was like, oh, hey, I'm a couple steps ahead of you. You're not on my level yet. But Frank got a loss. So does Jared. But what level are they currently on? You see? Moses versus Jermaine Franklin. Yes, that would be good. We've already talked about that. It would be a good fight. I would like to see it over here. Kurt, that was over a year ago. Wardley said that. Was it? Okay. I stand corrected. So it is what it is. But yeah, I don't expect anything from Moses. I don't expect anything big from Moses. And I think the pressure, he's either going to hold and fold because the pressure is there. It's clear and present danger. And it's not even the fighters, it's the pressure for him fighting these fighters that he shouldn't be pressured to do. So there are a lot of options for Moses, but there is a reason why he is the WBO, and for the likes that what I just discussed, because we know Joseph Parker, justice for Joseph, is still rallying, right? We're still rallying for Joseph, right? So I think that Moses will become a barricade. Yeah, he's there to deter Joseph Parker. They're like, all right, Joseph, you want to fight with somebody, you're going to fight the number one. How about that? Fight Moses Automa. And if they're sure Moses can beat Joseph, they'll put him in there because they know, hey, he's the next British heavyweight. Even if Daniel at that point loses, it don't matter. They stuck him there for a reason because they're putting him in position to be the next heavyweight champion. But, it is what it is. I just wanted to reach out with you guys for a minute. I'm going to make me some more tea because I'm still sick. So I'm going to hang back, watch the rest of The Mentalist. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 11 because we got some new news concerning Anthony Joshua. So we'll talk about him tomorrow at 11 a.m. or noon. I'll set the live stream so you guys come aboard. Hit your planner because I will be coming live tomorrow. Stay tuned. You guys be blessed. Happy Memorial Day to everyone once again. And everyone has been counterpunched. Peace!